All right. Well, thank you everybody for attending with us this Wednesday afternoon. I hope everyone's doing well. I'm sure everyone's coming in from home offices. I know that's where Josh is joining us from right now. So hope everyone's making it out okay with the times that we're in. We're seeing light at the end of the tunnel here, and we're seeing things start to pick back up. So that's a good thing. So today we're going to talk about a winning Facebook ad strategy for attorneys. We're going to try to keep the webinar to about 30 minutes. I try to keep my webinars about 30 to 45 minutes. I understand how busy you are, and just allocating this amount of time out of your busy schedule is greatly appreciated. So we'll do our best to try to keep this to 30 to 45 minutes. If you have to jump off early, don't worry. We are going to talk about a special offer right at the end of the webinar for all attendees, but secret, I will be sending you a recording of this as well. So don't worry, if you do have to jump off early, you can kind of skip to the end, check the recording, and then see our special offer. So without further ado, let's get started here. So I'd like to introduce myself. My name's Sean Denon. I'm a partner here at Acumen Legal Marketing. I've spent pretty much my whole career working with law firms in various capacities, litigation support, e-discovery realm, but I've always been passionate about marketing, and I kind of found my home with law firm marketing over the past several years. And, I'm a big believer in making data-driven decisions. And, that's one of the principles at Acumen is that, listen, sometimes certain things are working really well. Other times things are going to work better, and something that worked 3 years ago might no longer work whatsoever, right? So we try to monitor this. We don't just do this across our accounts, but we kind of look at it across all industry. And, just a lot of things have been pointing towards the success with Facebook ads. We're having a lot of success with our own clients. We're having just a lot of, feedback from the industry, just various industries and things like that. So we decided that we were going to put on a webinar and talk about what we're doing with our clients to help them win using Facebook ads. All right, so real quick, just a summary of what we're going to cover. What are Facebook ads and what are they not? I always think it's important to make this distinction. We're going to break down that. Why is right now, meaning, May 27, 2020, why is right now a great time to take advantage of Facebook ads? We're going to break down our proven strategy, right? Because we want you to avoid the Facebook lottery trap, and we'll explain what that is, what that means. And then you're going to hear us talk a lot about video. And, if you can't stay to the end, little secret is part of our winning formula is using video in ads. Okay, this is important. This is very important. And we're going to talk about effective ways to use those videos, making sure that they're not overproduced, making sure that they're informative, and making sure that they're hitting our right target audience. So we have different formulas for creating these videos. We're going to share with you a template on that for the best way to kind of design your 1-minute videos, if you will. We'll run you through the basic ad account setup for Facebook, and then we'll talk about the special offer right at the end here. All right, so let's get down to, what are Facebook ads and what are they not? And the easiest way to break this down is to kind of compare, scrolling through Facebook and having your ad or video or your offer pop up to somebody versus somebody searching you out, right? So on the right here, we have estate planning attorney. Typically, this is what we're going to see. We're going to see a whole bunch of ads. This is what's Google pay-per-click ads, right? I'm sure some of you have done this. Some of you might doing this right now. It's expensive, right? There's applications for it. There's ways to use it. But in the attorney space, it can get incredibly expensive, and budgets can get blown very, very quickly going with this method. So that's, someone going to Google, putting an intent search in and searching you out that way. This is a different way, right? So this is going to use different types of audience creation. We're going to do based on people's likes, interest, things like that to really, get into their feeds and get into their Facebook. And I really want you to think of this as almost like a digital billboard, right? A digital billboard that is placed in front of somebody at a key moment in time when they're sitting there scrolling and they're just looking through Facebook that, we feel would be relevant to this user based off of their interests, likes, behaviors, and a whole set of formulas that we can get into. Josh, you want to kind of dive into a little bit about that, that intent search and just anything else that I might have missed on that?
Sure. So, so whenever you're looking at Google, a lot of people are going to already be searching for whatever it is that they're looking for. Facebook is going to catch them earlier in the process. So a lot of times it's so expensive on Google primarily because they're right at the end. They're already kind of done their research or they're in their process of it, and they're ready to take action. That's why things are so expensive. What we try to do is take a little bit of a different approach to where we're catching them earlier in the process and help facilitating that decision-making process to make them feel like that you are going to be the most logical choice regardless of any other factors. And we do that through videos, catching up with people. And again, we'll get into that a little bit later. But for the most part, you're trying to catch their awareness on the front end and really help nurture, help them along, take them by the hand and say, here's what you need to do. Here's the process, so that they have the full credibility in your case. And then at that point, you're not really competing with anybody.
Yep.
It's just
And
going
that,
to be, yeah.
And that makes perfect sense, and again, we're talking about brand awareness. We're talking about billboards, right? Why do people put billboards on the side of 95? I always tell attorneys, I'm like, why put a billboard on the side of 95 when the driver is actually looking at their cell phone while they're driving down 95? Unfortunately, the world that we're living in right now, right? So, all right, so let's jump on here. All right, so does this sound like you? Maybe you've tried running Facebook ads before. You launched a single ad, but you didn't really receive a ton of clicks from it. Maybe we received a couple leads, but they really didn't seem qualified, right? We had them fill out a form, but they were nowhere ready to speak to an attorney. They were really just not that qualified. Or the last one, which is we ran an ad, we received 2 leads right out of the gate. I mean, Josh, I know we have one personal injury client of ours that, on the very first ad we ran, it was a warm-up ad, right? And it was the very first ad. They got this great case out of it, this great, motor vehicle accident case. And right away it was just like, hey, this is fantastic. Facebook ads are the greatest thing since sliced bread and stuff like that. But we had to kind of temper the expectations a little bit, Josh, right? We had to explain that, honestly, this is what we call the Facebook lottery. So Josh, explain that to us a little bit.
Well, listen, when you're playing the lottery, still for the most part, there's going to be at least one winner. So it does happen. But for the vast majority of people, it does not. You're playing for a $2 Powerball, and it's like, yeah, we're going to chip in a little bit, but we're really not going to do anything. Well, Facebook is a lot the same way, to where what most businesses will do is one of 2 things. They'll put one ad out, and they're like, okay, we hope that works, and I call it the hope and pray method. We hope and pray that this thing works, because if it doesn't, well, this just doesn't work. And most of the time we hear a lot of those conversations. They're like, we've tried Facebook in the past, or we've tried to do some things, and it just didn't work. Well, mostly because you're pushing that boosted post button, and actually that has a viable strategy as you're working through it. But most people are playing the Facebook lottery because they don't have a strategy, an overarching thing to say, okay, here's what we're doing and here's why we do it. We're just placing one ad, and most of the time it's to a local area, so it's going to be, 5 miles around your practice, 15 miles around your practice, something like that. And what's going to happen is they're going to try to show that 18-year-old to 65 plus. There's not really any rhyme or reason. We're just going to show it to everybody, which, there are some viable plays in certain personal injury cases, or there's some people that are more predisposition for bankruptcy. I'm sure that you would have the numbers to where, okay, people that are, 30 to 50 are more likely to declare bankruptcy than maybe somebody who's 22. So going through these processes and then develop out the strategy helps eliminate you and insulate you from playing the Facebook lottery, so that as you go through and you work it and you dial the things in that work, then you're not really taking a chance. It's something that is very scientific, very data driven, as we talked about at the beginning of the webinar. And that's why we make the decisions the way we do, so that you're not playing the lottery and hope that it wins. You're sitting there and saying, okay, I got a winning ticket every single day.
Makes perfect sense. All right. So why is right now an optimal time for running these Facebook ads? It's interesting, right? We're in a very interesting world right now with everybody working remotely and stuff. So, I said I would talk about why today, May 27, 2020, right? So this was taken, this statistic was actually a poll that was done of Facebook, people that responded from Facebook. And basically it was right at the beginning of COVID. And it was, how many people expect to use Facebook more? 38% said significantly more, right? 25% slightly more, 28% stay the same. But the general majority of people said, hey, stay the same, or I'm going to be using it more. Facebook has actually put out statistics that Since COVID, there has been usage upticks of up to 50%. People spending time on Facebook. The average used to be 57 minutes on Facebook, is upwards of 3 and 4 hours a day on Facebook right now. So it's where people are, and because of this, because of a supply and demand and things like that, the cost of ads and the cost of impressions, because usage is so up, has actually gone down. So you would think that it would correlate the other way, but it actually doesn't, because there's so many more impression capability, opportunities, that the cost has actually gone down. So right now is an optimal time to try this out and to do this. With like we said, with the other things, with cost per click and Google cost per click trending down, it's a great time to reallocate spend and to look at different ways. So now I'm going to get into I'm going to preface this with saying that I successfully run pay-per-click campaigns for attorneys. We do pay-per-click advertising for people, and I'm not saying it's a bad play altogether. But why do I prefer Facebook ads over the Google pay-per-click pay? Number one, it's the cost, right? So unless you are willing to allocate maybe $5,000, $7,000, $10,000 a month in spend on Google, it's going to be really difficult to win with those pay-per-click campaigns. As we mentioned, in a place like New York City, the cost of a single click for a personal injury attorney could be upwards of $200, $300, $400, right? So if you're working with $1,000 a month, and that's just a click. Remember, that's not a lead. That's just someone clicking on your ad. So if we're working with a limited budget, we're going to show 1 or 2 ads in a month, and it's really just not an effective strategy, right? So that's number one. Number two, I really love it because it creates a better connection with the audience, right? You're going to see someone's face. You're going to hear them talk. You're going to hear them talk about their offer. You're going to be able to see some experience, right? We're going to be able to incorporate, some reviews as part of that. So there's just a lot more opportunities to create authority with someone versus just have them click on something and say, hey, this is where we're going. The ROI on PPC campaigns continues to trend down. As I mentioned, I'm a data-driven guy. So every single month, we dive into reports with people. We look at everything and we say, hey, what's working, what's not working? And we've been doing this for years. And continuously, the ROI, not that it's flat, people are still receiving a return on their investment, but we're seeing that trend down. And I believe that's because competition is rising. And also, I think, Josh and I talk about this often. I think it goes a little bit into the effort, right? So if you were to hire my company and say, hey, Sean, just run a pay-per-click campaign, you could go back to practicing law, doing whatever you're going to do and not worry about it, right? I can set up some landing pages, do the Google searches, do things, and have those calls, have those leads start coming in. For Facebook to really be effective, we can run just flat banner ads and things like that. But for it to really be effective, we're going to ask a little bit more of your interaction, right? We want to have some videos. We want to have some things. So it might take a little bit more effort, but once you invest that effort and you get this set up, your spend would be maybe $10,000 a month spend on Google pay-per-click. You might be looking at $2,000 a month for similar spend and probably get more leads on the Facebook side. So a little bit more investment up front of your time and energy and building the assets out. But once you have that all in place, your return is going to be a lot better. And again, not all PPC is bad. We love branded PPC searches. Josh will talk about that a little bit later when we get into retargeting and things like that. But if it's just your go-to or just your sole only strategy, it's very costly, and I think that you'll end up spending a lot of money. All right, so let's get into the strategy here. So the winning strategy broken down, I have it in 6 different components. So we're going to talk about creating the audience. We're going to talk about warming that audience up. We're going to talk about hitting that audience with the offer. We're going to talk about following up with them once we've hit them with the offer. We'll cover about, we'll dive into a little bit. I mean, there's a lot of different types of ads, different types of ad sets. Josh will talk about some of the ones that we find are the most effective that we like to use, and maybe why you would use certain ones in the beginning versus, more targeted ones towards the end. And then we're going to share with you the proven formula for videos. I'm going to send this as a download to everybody as well. It's a great little guide. I personally use it. You've probably seen my face on video at this point if you're here at this webinar. I'm on video a lot on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and I use this formula a lot. It's just an easy way to just kind of measure out your thoughts, write them down, and then pull out your cell phone and then record that video. All right, so creating the audience. The objective here is we want to give Facebook the data that it needs to find more of your ideal clients. multiple different ways to do this. We can build out custom audiences, and that's when what Josh was talking a little bit about earlier. We're going to look at some of their likes, their interests, their age, their demographics, where they live, different things like that we can try to target and try to find who we think would be the most likely buyer of our things. We can create lookalike audiences. So lookalike audiences are people of a similar profile set, so maybe someone that, is a business owner that's of upper middle income, that lives in these areas and things like that, that we see are coming heavily to our site because we're a bankruptcy attorney and they're coming for information, they're looking for stuff. We can take those visitors and then say, all right, who on Facebook looks like this video based off, like this visitor, based off of demographics and things like that. So that's our lookalike audience. Retargeting audience is probably the most important. Josh, I'll leave that for you. And then leveraging previous client data and customer profiles. A little bit difficult in law on this side, but things like bankruptcy, potentially family law, people that are married with children of this age, we see usually by this age uptick in divorces, things like that. So there is some things that we can use to predict some of those behaviors. But your retargeting, your lookalikes are probably your most powerful. So again, Josh, what am I missing on that? What would you like?
Okay, so I'm going to take you a little bit. So your core audiences are going to be what we talk about when we're using behavioral. That is one of the biggest components of what Facebook is versus Google, is that it can look at the people's behaviors rather. So if you're looking at somebody who's interested in certain things, it's because they're not just liking pages, but Facebook at the current moment is also tracking other user activities, even offsite. So whenever you're going to other websites or going to things like that, it's still tracking that information back through that a majority of the time, especially on your big things. Now, you can also look at things like demographics, age, location, but then you're also going to look at interests as far as, okay, are they college educated, or are they just have some of high school? Are they married? Are they single? Again, for you divorce attorneys, are they somebody that has a relationship status that it's complicated? Some of those things are going to, kind of give Facebook an idea to say, okay, this may make sense. And those are the things that we find in the testing processes as we're launching out campaigns and kind of working through that if we don't have anything else to go from. Our custom audiences are going to be a lot of those things that's based on, it could be retargeting pixels. So for example, Facebook gives us a way that, let's say you put an educational video on your website, that you can actually create a video audience based on the amount of time that they watched your videos. So if you put a 6-minute video on and they watch at least 50%, with the average time being spent watching videos, the average watch time is 6 seconds on Facebook across the board. Now that's, that varies because sometimes it's really silly stuff and sometimes it's serious, but for the most part, they say 6 seconds. So if you have a 6-minute video somebody's watching at least 3 minutes of, that's somebody that's going to be at least somewhat engaged or interested in what it is that you're talking about or offering. So we can target them with ads later. This is also in the custom audiences is where you're going to take your list. So if you have clients in the past, now we can take all of those things and upload those back into Facebook. And that allows us to create the lookalike audiences. Now, all of this information that you upload, just due to some of the privacy concerns and things that they've had in the past, it all gets anonymized, and it's all something that you really don't have to worry about in terms of that. So if that's ever a consideration or you're worried about it, don't be. They've taken a lot of massive steps in order to kind of correct some of those issues that they've had in the past. But what you can do with those types of things is say, okay, now these are our clients. These are the people that have come in and used us for bankruptcy filings and services that way. What it's going to do is Facebook looks at about 470 data points. So whenever it gets a name, phone number, email address, zip code, and there's several other things, but once it goes through and starts matching those up, it's not going to match up 100%. But once they start matching your group up, then it's going to take a look at that and create a persona. And then it's going to go look and find more people that have that persona. So did these people look at these certain sites? Did these people do these certain things? Did they click on these types of things? It's going to look at all those things, and it's going to find out more people who are kind of in the same spot, right? Looking at those types of things or clicking on those types of things or doing those kind of things. That's why the lookalike audience can be super effective to where it's, hey, we'll find more people just like that, right? Now, from a retargeting standpoint, again, that's how all those things are done, just another custom audience.
Yep. And like that, retargeting, when we talk about retargeting, we'll dive into that even a little bit more specifically. But with your retargeting, that's someone that either clicked on an ad and then went to a landing page, but didn't submit a form, didn't book a free consult, didn't do anything, or they came to your website. And one of the biggest things that Josh and I see, and what we tell everybody, listen, even if you're not ready to advertise on Facebook, get your Facebook page, get your Facebook ad account set up, and get that pixel installed on your website. Because if that pixel is installed on your website, everything you're doing, all your SEO dollars, your pay-per-click dollars, I'm running a video commercial, I'm running ads on television, whatever you're doing to drive traffic and drive leads and drive all this stuff, you can totally maximize. A friend of mine once said, retargeting is one of the only forms of advertising that it boosts the ROI on all other forms of advertising, right? So, so if you walk away with nothing else other than this, please make sure that your website has your Facebook retargeting pixel on it. So even if in 6 months from now, we want to take advantage of all those leads, all that traffic and everything that's been driven, we'll be able to retarget those people. All right, so let's jump into the warm up here. So, like Josh said, this is that phase where they want to get to know us, right? Why does some of the bigger firms, I live down in Florida, so I'm not sure if anyone on here is from Florida specifically, but I'm sure you're familiar with John Morgan and Morgan and just how many ads and things that are out there. And it's like, why do people do that at that rate with that consistency and stuff like that? Well, I'll tell you why, because my 6-year-old, since the time he was 3, has been walking around saying pound law, that's all. Okay. So, it's that brand and it's that awareness, right? And it's just getting that recognized. So, how can we do that with limited budgets? How can we do that within our local service area, within our local service community? How can we do that without trying to compete with the big firm $10 million a year ad spend budgets, right? We just can't do that as a small firm. And Facebook is the way to do that, right? We can get targeted, we can get those commercials, we can get those ads, we can do all that. So they're going to get to know us a little bit. They're going to like us. They're going to trust us. And this is all before engagement. And this goes back to the Facebook lottery. Those first couple ads, if you're expecting, hey, lead right out of the gate, you got to adjust your expectations a little bit. You're going to get some, right? For that person that does have that need that, you gets in front of them and everything. But as we build these up and as we take these people from interested video viewers to, okay, now we put up an offer and then they engaged on that offer and they wanted to know what are those 5 steps to avoid bankruptcy or to, whatever it is, those initial offers that we put out there, that's going to come in. And that's where I'm sure a lot of the people on this call are familiar with Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V, better known as, right? And he's social media, he's all over the place. And he was one of the early adopters in just, getting video and getting that out there. And he has this method, jab, right hook, right? So basically what he's saying is with your videos, with the content, with the stuff that you're putting out there, think of a boxing match, right? We're just throwing a couple jabs. We're just putting out there. We're not going for that knockout punch at the end. We're going to wait for that, right? We have to wait till that gets set up. So, there's different ways that we're going to warm this audience up. Video views are one of the best ways. We can really tell if someone's watching, Josh said 6 seconds, right? So if they're getting past the 6-second mark for whatever reason, and they got the 30-second, 45-second, 1 minute, 5 minutes of video views, we know that they're engaged. They're watching you for a reason. So maybe they don't know that maybe they're concerned that in 6 months from now, I don't know where my business is going to be post-COVID. Maybe I will be considering bankruptcy. Maybe I will, or maybe I'm a criminal defense attorney and, I've been messing up a lot and things like that. And, we've told people, we're like, well, how do I do this? Well, listen, for my criminal defense attorney clients, one of the most important things is cases that they can get is first-time DUI client, right? It's an easy case to process. You're going to go for ARD right away. There's not much, headache and things like that. So who are you going to frequent for that? Well, you're going to frequent people that frequent certain bars and locations and things, right? So we can do all that through the Facebook ads. So that's how we're getting that out there. And then, just leveraging that previous data. So Josh, explain a little bit more about, the jab, right hook and, this video grid, right? This is, even when I put this on here, it's intimidating to me. So just explain to me a little bit about what this is.
Well, what this really is I want you to think about the process is you got a bucket of people. You got a bucket of people and you're trying to pick the interested people out to put them in another bucket so that you can make those offers to. That's the whole point and process of what this is. It kind of looks like a bucket, the funnel. They drop people into the top and they come out the bottom. right? So as you're going through and you're looking through the video, these are different layers. Layer one, we talk is a different style of video. We talk about why we do what we do. Why did you get involved? Why did you start your practice? Why were you interested in going to law school to begin with? What's your story? Those are the things that connect with people to get you to know, like, and trust somebody. Well, if I'm going to have you represent me, I want to know that I at least like you, or that I know you, or that I can trust you. The second layer to that is going to be your how videos. How do you do what you do? Do you use a special process? Do you have special knowledge? Those types of things you can just make quick videos on. And then the what is kind of like, hey, this is what I do, and this is, you should call me for a free consult. It's basically going through there. And the way that this works is that in the first level, people are going to be shown level one videos first. They're not going to see anything else. They're going to be warmed up to say, get to know, like, and trust. Once they've watched that video, they're going to be dropped into level two, which is going to talk to them about authority and credibility. This is how I do what I do. This is why I'm so good at what I do. Authority and credibility. And then the last, because we've already built know, like, trust and authority and credibility, now we can come in and we can say, hey, you saw a lot of the things that we're doing, and you know that we know what we're talking about. Why don't you take time to sit down with us and see how we can help you? And each of these stages, that's basically the process, is they're going from one to the next, and it's done in a sequence so that they're warmed up all the way to the bottom.
Makes perfect sense. All right, so I want to keep moving here, Josh. We're coming up at 4:25 here right now, so we have a little bit more content to get through here. Okay, so the offer, right? We're going to make them an offer they can't refuse. This is where I see my attorney clients get stuck the most, because we don't offer discounted services. I mean, raise your hand if you're the attorney that wants to put a Facebook ad that says, hey, 15% off of your attorney fee if you come to me, right? We're not Walmart. We're not the Walmart of service. And we don't want to devalue our services, right? We are a prominent attorney in their space. We are representing ourselves as the go-to, as the source. So the idea of, discounting services and things like that. So this is where people get stuck. They're like, well, in offer ads, right? Just if we were working with a store, or we're working with a restaurant, we're going to have something where they're going to watch their first video, which is an overview that talks about the live music and different things. But then the next thing is going to say, hey, get that free appetizer, get that 20% off your first entree, get this, get that. These are all offer ads. Well, in the attorney space, it's a little bit different, because we're not offering up discounts on our service, but we can offer something up so much more valuable. And that's information, right? And this is where I think, it's the greatest opportunity to create your authority. You're going to offer them timely information. We know why they're interested in you. We know why they're watching videos. We know what they're potentially interested in, what their need potentially is. So we're going to make offer about that. And I think that the number one thing that everyone does is the free consult. It's always the free consult. I get it that your time is valuable. My time is valuable too. But let's face it, a free consult is a sales call. It's a sales opportunity. It's a way to onboard a new client and do that. And I think clients are pretty hip to that too. And I think people are pretty well aware of that. I mean, I had an attorney that I actually refused to work with because he told me he wouldn't offer a free consult and that his time was valuable and that the initial consult's $300 an hour. Well, I said, well, if everybody else in your space is offering a free consult, how, so having realistic expectations about that. But let's break it down. Half the people on this webinar that attended here are here because of this ad. This ad popped up into your Facebook feed. This ad also popped up in your Facebook feed post. I like to do a thing. I live close to the beach. So in the morning, I like to take walks on the beach, and I do something called Seize the Day. And I make these attorney marketing tips. Nothing salesy, nothing anything. I just, jump on, and for a minute or two, I talk about something that you should consider, whether it's, a way you can automate follow-ups, whether it's a way you can improve business practice, Facebook ads, retargeting, whatever the topic of the day is, whatever pops into my mind. And I get on and I record a short video. Well, everyone that's been watching those videos and consuming that information received an offer ad. And my offer today was free information. You're coming on today because you're going to learn about Facebook and learn about a better strategy and a winning strategy, right? So I kind of wanted to use this example to show you that we practice what we preach. This is why most of you are in this room. And Josh, you actually just told me something right before we got started. So what happened to, I know that maybe 15 or 20 people signed up as a result of this ad, but what happened to everybody else that didn't sign up when they saw this ad?
Sure. So what's going to happen is they're going to go into the bucket that's an interested bucket that they're going to go ahead and continue to be retargeted. So if they maybe watch the video that they didn't register, right? They're going to go ahead and we're going to move into our next offer sequence. So that's why it's so important, at least on the video views, is something as simple as that. I can still gently stay in touch with people, and we don't have to annoy them,
Yep.
but it's something that it's effective.
Yep. And listen, if you're on here and you're here, you're in my retargeting funnel. So you'll probably see some videos of mine from time to time. Hopefully you enjoy the tips. Like I said, it's all information, all content. We're putting out information because if I'm ever going to work with you in the future, I want you to come to me working with me pre-positioned to know that I know what I'm talking about, that we've been doing this, that we work solely in legal and everything like that. So, if we have that opportunity, we're already going to be past that. You're already going to understand that, we know your space pretty well. So let's talk about you for a second. So, instead of just offering the free consultation, one of my favorite things to point back to, Josh, is what we did with the personal injury attorney in Florida. They had right on their homepage, nice, beautiful homepage, by the way, right on the homepage, schedule a free consult. And they were getting clicks. They drive a lot of traffic to that website, pretty prominent website, good authority. They're getting clicks. But we had an idea, and we're like, what if we just change schedule a free consult to find out what your case might be worth? We changed the label on the button, okay? I think we changed the button color too, but we changed the label on the button, and we did that. We saw a 4x increase in the amount of people that clicked on that homepage button just based on the fact that they weren't interested in a consult, but they were interested in what their case might be worth at that point, right? So just the changing in the wording. So, what I like to do is when we talk about, and one of the first things that I'm going to do with every client of ours is I'm going to say, listen, what type of information can we offer up with your free consult? I don't want it just to say, put your name and email here to get a free consult. It should say, hey, we've developed this guide to saving your home when potentially facing bankruptcy. Download this guide along with your free consult, right? Or just download this guide, right? Let's just create that authority. Let's get that information out there. What are the 5 things you can do in a week following your accident guide? I mean, there's just so many different ways this can go. How do you keep your divorce civil with it? There's so much information. There's so much stuff that we can put out there. And then, then you can run ads supporting this stuff, right? So now all of a sudden, when you're doing some of your warm-up ads are going to say, hey, we have this. And then it's going to lead to that, what's your guide to saving your home? Well, if I'm a bankruptcy attorney and someone watched a warm-up ad and then they downloaded my guide, they're not ready for a bankruptcy attorney right now, okay? They're thinking about what might happen, what I have to do to save my home and stuff like that. But now we've got them. Now we are going to retarget them. We're going to send them authority ads. We're going to send them review ads. By the time we're done with them, they're going to be convinced that you're the only bankruptcy attorney that exists in your area that can handle their potential bankruptcy solution. And that's what we want to do. We want to create that authority. All right, so let's jump into the follow-up. So follow-up is one of those areas where I think we tend to miss the mark a little bit sometimes. We get busy and we do things. So we like to tie automated follow-up systems with this. So if someone puts something in there and they download that, I'm sure many of you got a lot of messages from me. Some of you got even some text messages from me and things like that. The text messages I'm sending, a lot of those emails and everything are as a result of you signing up for this. So it's going to automatically send you that email. You don't have to think about it. If I had to think about getting every single attendee, the link for this and everything like that, no one would have showed up. I wouldn't have gotten the links out to everybody. So I have all that automated, and we can do a similar thing. Or again, we recommend that as part of your strategy, you have something like this, because this is not someone that's this isn't the Google pay-per-click searcher. They're not necessarily ready to buy right at this moment, but they're potentially ready to buy, and they will be ready to buy. So we want to stay top of mind with them. So there's different ways that we're going to do this. We always talk about being omnipresent. You're going to find me omnipresent in your world. You're going to see me in your inbox. You're going to see me on Facebook. If you're a LinkedIn user, you're going to see me on LinkedIn. You're going to get a friend request from me on LinkedIn. I try to be as omnipresent in your world as possible. And this is what we want to do with our prospects. We want to stay top of mind. So maybe there's a newsletter that we can add them to that they're just going to get once a month. They're going to get a drip. As Josh said, we don't like to annoy them, but we're going to make sure that every 3 weeks, if they're in our retargeting audience, they're going to see a fresh set of videos from us, right? They're just going to see something. They're going to remember that we're there. We're not going to dominate their Facebook feed, but we're going to show up and we're going to remain top of mind. And then, like I said, tying this into a system, having a systemized approach to this. And Josh, add a couple comments here on this, because I know you're, an expert in getting this dialed in and making sure that our clients win with the leads that we're driving for them. So tell me just a little bit about this.
So for each, for the clients that we work with, we actually provide a business development system that actually puts all this stuff in place. Most people have practice management software, which is awesome for clients. Once they become a client and move forward, that's awesome. But what happens whenever they become a lead and follow up with? So our system allows our clients to be able to follow up seamlessly, quickly, almost immediately, and allows you to really feel like that you're really on top of your game, even though you'll be really busy. And number one that I like about it is that it doesn't always take extra people in order to do it. It's just set there and it just works. It doesn't call in sick. So those are things that we really, that we really enjoy, and putting those things in place for people so that it's less work on you. You can just do what you do and let the system do the work and the follow up.
Yep. And Josh, I'm not even going to pretend to talk about this section because this is kind of your area a little bit. So I'm just going to pass this right over. But basically, this is the list of all the different types of Facebook ads that you can run. And you come into Facebook, you get into the back end. The easiest way to do this from the front end is what Josh said earlier about the boosted posts. And we're going to show you about that a little bit later. Like if you're trying to do this, do it yourself, right? And we just want to at least get some brand awareness in our local community. We highly recommend your brand awareness is a boosted post. So when you go in and you say boosted post, that's basically what that ad is. So on the back end, that's engaging that. But let's say we want to move past brand awareness and we want to have a multi-touch campaign, Josh, that's going to have 35 different ad sets and different things like that. Just talk to me about the mix between some of these.
Well, actually, it's very simple. So the way that Facebook has designed their system is exactly the same way that you saw the funnel earlier as we were going through our different levels. This is exactly the same thing. So your level 1, you're going to be doing in your reach, your brand awareness. Your level 2 ads, which is going to include opt-ins and that kind of stuff for your information, is going to be based in your consideration phase. That's your middle. And then your conversion, as far as actually trying to get them to go ahead and schedule your appointments and those types of things, are all done that way. So it's actually set up in that very same way. It just gives you the ability to kind of take a look through. Now, we run video views a lot because we can generate retargeting audiences off those things with minimal effort. So we can gauge people's interests. But for the most part, as you go through here, this is the funnel that you saw on the earlier slide, just laid out in a different way to say, okay, well, here, what do you want to see happen? I'll end with this on this slide is that Facebook, if you choose let's say a traffic ad, it's going to show that to people that are most likely to click on the ad. It doesn't necessarily mean anything else, but it's going to show that. Or if for video views, it's going to show it to people who are interested in, or normally more interested in watching videos and consuming that content. That is why we run a variety of objectives, because the way that Facebook are showing ads is either going to show people based on, hey, you enjoy watching videos, so we're going to show you this if you're within this parameter, or hey, you're interested in sending a message to find out more information, so through the Facebook Messenger, so we're going to show you this ad. And there's a lot of variety in between there, but we run multiple objectives most of the time so that we capture as many of those things as possible in each particular level.
So basically, based on the user behavior and what they do and what they typically engage with in ads and stuff like that, it can target based on that. And listen, I will make everybody late for dinner, even if you're on the West Coast, if we drive into every single type of conversion here and everything like that. But, just know that each phase, like Josh said, the easiest way to break it down is into those 3 sections that we broke it down for you. But each one has its own merit, and not all are applicable. I mean, app installs and things like that are for different sets, but in each area, you're going to have awareness, consideration, and conversion. And that's the most important part. I do get to talk about this because I use this all the time. So this is the 1-minute video template. This was developed by a gentleman by the name of Dennis Yu. He's actually a good friend of mine. And Dennis is just famous for these 1-minute Facebook videos and just getting that message out there and everything like that. So, the hook, get right to the content, right to the capture. So I'll send this template out to everybody. Like I said, what I do, never read from a script from your videos. Let me repeat myself. Never read from a script for your videos. They have to be natural. They have to be, but you want to organize your thoughts, because if you're like me and you just pull out your phone sometimes and I just start talking, I get 45 seconds into it and I'm like, oh, I forgot that I wanted to say this, scrap that video. It takes me a lot more time. Take the 5-10 minutes, organize your thoughts, get your sequence of thoughts, run through it once or twice before you say your video, and I guarantee you'll be nailing them left and right, once you have this down. But again, this is for our 1-minute videos. Now, we will have longer videos with longer content for further engagement and stuff. So more of like explainer style videos where you're going to really dive in and explain something. But this is that 1 minute, the hook. I would talk about something about right being in your community, address the community. I live in Brevard County in Florida. If I'm in Brevard County, I'm going to say, hey, Brevard County, how are you today? This is, ABC attorney, personal injury attorney, so get right to them. Who are you? Ignite that pain, talk about what it is that they're dealing with, what it is that they might be dealing with, hey, with everything, with all the uncertainty in the economy, we might be facing bankruptcy, whatever it might be. And then we're going to have about 15 to 50 seconds to talk about what is our solution, right? So this is where that offer piece is going to come through in your video. This is where we're going to say, hey, it's really important. Click on the link below. It's going to take you to where you can download this guide. I promise you that, the 3 things to do in the first 72 hours post your car accident is very important to you. In fact, it's something you should download and keep into your glove box, right? Josh, that's a great I know that's one of yours, so I stole that from you, Josh. But download this, put it in your glove box. It's like the old age of hey, we're putting a coaster on someone's desk at this point, right? We're getting in there and we're doing that. So I'll send this out to everybody. Use it. It'll save you a ton of time when you implement that. So I talked about retargeting a couple times. So we're just putting this in here. I have another webinar that's solely on the topic of retargeting, that if anybody's interested in that, when I send your follow-up, just follow up with me and say, hey, Sean, send me the recording on the retargeting webinar. But basically, retargeting is they went somewhere, they enter your customer's website. So whatever drove them to the website. As soon as they go on there, they pick up that cookie, they get that pixel that's installed. Then they go onto Facebook, they're browsing, they go somewhere else. Everything is going to bring them back to returning them to the website, the landing page, the conversion page, everything that we want to do. So we want to make sure that, one of the scariest statistics out there, and, I do SEO services, so this is why I'm so big on retargeting, is that 80% of website visitors across the internet take 0 action when they come to a website. They don't call, they don't click, they don't download your fancy form. Nothing's working. They're not getting them. They're not conversions. And one of the biggest areas where people miss the mark is everybody focuses on driving that traffic. And marketing companies, SEO, I'm sure you've heard it. You've heard every pitch. We're going to drive the traffic. Hey, this many people came to your website and everything. Well, that doesn't really matter if they're not converting and if they're not becoming customers. You can spend all the money you want on driving 80,000 visitors a month, but if they're not converting, it's not doing anything for our bottom line. So retargeting will absolutely, so again, back to that, if you're walking away with one thing, I need you to go to IT administrator, whoever hosts your website, whoever, come to me. I have a tool that I can actually look to see if your retargeting pixel's on there, but find out if you have a retargeting pixel on there, because if not, you're missing out on a big opportunity and it costs nothing. So you should absolutely do it. All right, real quick, let's run through the basic setup here. So there's 5 steps, basic setup. Did little screenshots here for you. So you're going to want to create a business page. I'm sure a lot of you on here already have this done. Make sure that, if you're the owner of the firm, that your profile owns that page. I've seen some horror stories where, an assistant or somebody set up the page. It was owned by their personal profile, and then they leave the firm, and you lose that. So make sure that your profile's the owner of that page and that you're the admin of that page. So we're going to create a business. Business or brand. That's the page that we're going to look to shoot for here. Then we're going to go into the account setup. So once you actually have your page set up, you're going to see something that says, would you like to run an ad? So you're going to click on the ad. When it drops down, it's going to say no account found, and then it's going to bring you into the account setup. You're going to need a credit card. You're going to have an active credit card. And you're also going to need to be able to give Facebook a little bit of information. They want to know who you are as an advertiser. So you're going to talk a little bit about your business. You're going to have to put in your address. I think tax ID number too, Josh, right? They just want to verify that they know who you are. So when you get to this stage, just make sure that you have some of that information available. And then once you have that, you're ready to go. So like I said, what you would do is, what I would recommend as your first Like, you know, everyone's like, hey, where do I start? What's the first thing I should do and everything like that? And I'm like, create your billboard, right? Well, why not have a billboard on Facebook that's serving a 20-mile radius, that's serving up everybody? That's doesn't matter how many people are hitting those boosted posts. You could run a boosted post for $100 for a month and reach hundreds of thousands of visitors potentially, you know? So, you know, get a video together like Josh talked about, you know, who I am, why I started my firm, where I came from, where I went to law school, just something, right? Something that, how you're connected to the community. Hey, you know, I love people that work in the community that they grew up in. I always tell those attorneys, make sure you talk about walking the high, you know, the halls of the high school and things like that. Connect with your users, really connect with the people. So that we're going to select our ad type. Then it's going to jump us into the design, the creative, right? So this is just a screenshot. This will walk you through how we're going to design that. We're going to upload a video because we're really going to recommend that that first billboard ad is going to be a video. We're going to design the creative. We'll select our audience. Then we're going to launch the ad, and we're going to be able to watch the you know, things come in. This is kind of just like a little dashboard of what it's going to look like. And yeah, you know, that's pretty much it. It's not incredibly difficult to get started with that. But let's jump right into the offer because we're coming up on the 45-minute mark, and I committed to 30 to 45 minutes. So real quick, let me just wrap things up with, or, you know, we can go do all that. Keep calm and just let me do it, right? So one of the things that I put out there always is that I have a large team here, myself included. We love to just jump on a Zoom call and just walk you through this, right? So we can just jump on a Zoom call, help you set up, make sure that your page settings are correct and all those things, and help you get going with this. Because the reality is that I know that once you see the value of this, once you see the power of this, and once you see how much can be done beyond this, there's probably going to be a good opportunity that we might get to work together in the future. If that's not the case and you decide that you want to run billboard ads, still an effective strategy, still something I highly recommend doing, and I can get you there for free. And I'd be happy to do that for you. So there's actually 2 bonus offers that we're offering up at the end of this session for everyone who attended. So the first is, listen, ask myself or a member of my team to come in and help guide you through this. Even if it's, hey, Sean, I set it up. I did it 3 years ago. I'm not sure if it's right. I want to just go in and just do that. Let us just come in. We'll jump on a quick Zoom, 15, 20 minutes. We'll run through that for you and do that for you. We used to charge for that. We used to charge for a Facebook ad account setup. We charge fee of $497. I'm not charging for that for attendees here. And then offer number 2, if you're ready to get started, you know, one of the reasons you're here is because you're interested in running Facebook ads. So if you're kind of at the point where you're ready to get started, a lot of what Josh and I talked about on the webinar seems a little intimidating. It's something you want to talk to us about doing. We run our Facebook ad managements in 3-month campaigns. We try to avoid 1-month campaigns only because in 1 month, we're not really implementing our strategy. Our strategy is effective once you get through your warm-up phase and we get through those retargeting and things like that. But we have a initial, for every campaign that you run, there's an initial $500 startup fee. That's gets a lot of the account set up, a lot of the creative, a lot of things. I'm waiving that from now until the end of June for anybody that attended this webinar or responded or booked one of our Facebook strategy ad setups. So listen, you're going to get a lot of follow-ups from me. You're going to get some emails. We're going to send you the recording. I'm also going to send you a link. Link's going to take you to this page. If you'd like to take advantage of that strategy session for us to get you set up, go ahead and click on that. And then listen, when we jump on that, if you're at the point where you'd like to take it a little bit further and you want to run a multi-touch campaign, we'd be happy to talk about that with you as well. Just let us know and let us know that you have that, that you attended the webinar, and we'll go ahead and waive that setup fee for you. So with that, I really appreciate your time. I really want to see a lot of your faces on Facebook. You're going to see mine on Facebook. I promise you that. You'll see Josh's on Facebook as well. So, you know, thanks for attending our session. We really appreciate your time. And listen, everyone, you know, on this webinar has the ability to win on Facebook. A lot of you are from smaller firms. We did a quick assessment of the people that actually signed up and attended and everything, and everyone's of a similar size and profile. We don't have the same marketing budgets as some of the other big firms, so let's beat them on Facebook and let's win on Facebook. So with that, make it a great rest of your day. We'll send the follow-ups. If you have any questions, if you need the recording sent to another link, just reach out to me. My name's Sean Denon, available 24/7 for you, and make it a great afternoon. Josh, thank you so much for coming on as always.
Thanks,
Appreciate
guys.
you. Josh always makes me look smart, so I always love having Josh on these webinars with me. And with that, we'll leave that. So thank you very much. Everyone make it a great afternoon. Thanks, Josh.
See ya.